The Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge USA by Yokohama moves to one of the most daunting and fast venues in North America for rounds 11 and 12 of the championship chase. Some call it America's National Park of Speed. Others call it America's Nürburgring. We know it and love it as Road America, just outside of Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, a 4-mile blast through the Kettle Moraine Forest. It is a spectacular venue, and the racing should suit it today. Hi, everybody, and welcome. I am Greg Creamer, joined once again by Randy Pobst, and this track, Randy, offers so much of a challenge.
Combination of two very long straightaways, tight corners at the end of those straightaways for good passing opportunity, and a long carousel and the kink, the fastest corner in North America.
It is some spectacular stuff. The crowd knows it. They are in hand and in huge numbers, and they witness an amazing 11th round. Michael Lewis in that black and white Curb Records machine on pole by over a second, but Sloan Ury once again in that Hertz JDX Porsche started an attack. Point leader Colin Thompson coming along, even showing the nose going into a very tricky turn 7. But it was an even trickier turn 8 that started the problems. Blair Chang and the 96 of Pierre Malyachuk getting together. The damage pretty severe. Also, Javier Quiros involved. You can see the damage to the front of that car. Malyachuk trying to limp that car around as well. However, they were able to get the race going, and on the restart, it was Sloan Ury holding onto the lead, drawing away, but Angel Benitez started an attack on Mike Shine, trying to come up and stay with the guy who's leading in the points. But a huge moment here, David Williams getting loose at the exit of the kink. Just a glancing blow, actually able to drive it back off track, but it did cause a full course caution. Problems not done on the restart. Christina Nielsen just getting into the back of the orange car of Colin Thompson, pulled the radiator, smoke pouring off of that number 25 NGT entry, and at the end, even though Lewis was coming, Sloan Ury hanging on, earning another win in what has been a fabulous season of competition for those drivers. And in the Gold Cup category, making his debut, a winning one, David Ducote, making the move from the Platinum over to the Gold class, winning over Jeff Mosing, and right there behind him, Mike Levitas. So once again, the racing in all of our categories was absolutely superb in the 11th round of the championship. But as we now look at the 12th round of the championship, the points are like this. Only 17 separating the top 3. That is Thompson, Benitez, and Lewis, with Sloan Ury only 13 back. And in the Gold Cup category, Patrick Otto-Madsen continues to lead by 19, but behind him, it is closer still. So this is going to be a great championship battle that is unfolding. Randy, let's talk a little bit about the difference in these Platinum cars versus the Gold Cup cars.
We've got two races. The Platinum category is for the brand new Porsche 911, sold as a race car, the Cup cars from Porsche. This is 50 years for the 911. It's an all-new car, bigger, wider, bigger tires, a little bit more power, and paddle shifters. All of this makes it 2 to 3 seconds faster than the Gold category cars, which were our top category before. 2010 to 13, Porsche 911s based on the last generation 997s. They're racing hot and heavy in both categories.
Boy, isn't it? And of course, you could have a quick look. You could look here, the Gold Cup cars, those yellow mirrors, the yellow wing end plates, tells you it's a Gold Cup car. You take a look at these cars, it's black mirrors and black wing end plates. That is a Platinum car. And we will have the start of the 12th round of the championship when we come back to Road America. Back at Road America, the field starting to line up in their 2x2 rows as they head down into Canada Corner. It's at the end of one of the fastest, I think, most daunting stretches of real estate, out of the carousel, through the kink, and then into this tight right-hander, into another wonderful section, up and under where the Billy Mitchell Bridge used to be, blind corner there.
And you know what they're doing right now? They're warming tires. You see all that drunken driving? It's really them trying to warm up those Yokohamas, and the braking and accelerating is really the best way to do it. When you see the nose drop, they're braking hard to get some temperature and get those tires ready to race.
As well as in the brakes, I would think, because you're going to have to be using them pretty hard at this track and keeping those tires clean. Everybody talks about this track in terms of speed, but it's brutal on brakes and brutal on fuel. So if you haven't got the right fuel in the car, it can be a long, lonely lap limping it around. Pace car is in, and what a nice job. The front of this field, Lewis and Ury have this field queued up and ready to go, and they get up and underneath that bridge. That's when they actually can see the start stand, and the flag will fly. Boy, they are bringing them up nice and slow.
Slow.
Wow. And here we go. Green flag is out. We are racing. And pole sitter Mike Lewis jumps into the early lead, as we would expect. He's just been on form in terms of raw speed here this weekend, Randy.
That's that slow start. When you go to the gas, you get a bigger jump because you're in a lower gear. Down into one. Look at him, 2x2.
And throwing up some dust. And by the way, Christina Nielsen, the young Danish driver, she just got a huge launch up into third, getting around Colin Thompson. That was a fabulous start.
Well done. So side by side again around turn 3. This leads to the long run under the Sargento Cheese Bridge down to turn 5, which is the primary passing zone here. You're going from top speed 165 down to about 40 miles an hour in that left-hand hairpin.
And you fall away in the brake zone on top of it, so it is a balancing act. Here you go, down to 5. Ooh, somebody got real loose. That's Santiago Creel right there, by the way, that car with Mexico on the side going after Casey Coleman.
Yeah, and as I like to say, he made it.
Yeah, exactly. He got through, but that's just the fierce battling. There you see the battle in the Gold Cup for a moment, Mosing and Patrick Otto Madsen, but up front, there is Sloan Urie running second. That Hertz JDX entered car. That JDX is Jeremy Dale and Harrison Bricks, teamed up for a lot of success in the old IMSA series. And then right behind them, very impressive young driver, Christina Nielsen, who her success in her runs here in the U.S. got her a ride in the IMSA Matmut Performance Porsche in the European Le Mans Series, a full-on RSR, and she just had her first run at the Red Bull Ring in Spielberg, Austria a couple of weeks ago. So a great year for young Christina.
Super, and here we're looking back at the kink, 130-mile-an-hour sweeping corner. It's one of the toughest turns in North America, leading onto that straight down to Canada corner, another 160-mile-an-hour plus straightaway.
Boy, and it's a gut check corner, isn't it? Because as you turn into the kink on the exit, all you see is a concrete wall, and you've got to be dancing it very carefully through there. Here's that great turn up and under what used to be the Billy Mitchell Bridge. They've taken it as a big tunnel there now, but I love they still left it as a blind approach. Makes it very exciting, and then you use every ounce of the exit and more sometimes out of 14 to get that run up this long hill.
Yeah, you go clear over the curbing and into that extra asphalt. Again, 14, very important on the long front straightaway across the start finish. This straightaway is uphill the whole way, so even though it's the longest straight, it's not the fastest straight. And turn 1, a fast corner, it's a 4th gear run.
It's a deceptively quick corner. When you look at it on a map, it certainly seems a little tighter, but when you get to it, it's fast and flowing, and that's where they're headed right now. Watching this group heading down, there is Bill Pelichowski. Always gets a little bit of airtime, if nothing else. He's certainly a good pilot, but he drives a car that looks like it needs to be piloted.
It looks like a Flying Tiger P40 from World War II.
It's fantastic as they now come out of 3. Huge corner. Get out of 3 well because of this long, long run all the way down to turn 5. Boy, and I'll tell you, David Ducote has gone to the front again, as he did in that previous round, the 11th round of the championship. Big move here down to the inside. That is a platinum car, the number 56, diving down underneath David Ducote. That's David Baker. Again, not a pass for position in class, but an overall pass.
Yeah, and on his tail is David Williams, another platinum car, just before Mosing in a gold car. So again, we've got a little bit of overlap, causing some interesting moments at the front of the gold pack.
And those gold guys, they will try and use those platinum cars, won't they, to try and get them in between the guys that they're racing with, give them a little bit of a buffer.
Yeah, a cushion.
Yeah.
It makes it a little bit easier because if a platinum car is this far back, it must be a little slower in the corners. And that can help gap you to the gold guy behind.
Speaking of cushions, Mr. Lewis has opened up a nice one over Sloan Urie.
Wow.
Boy, he has wasted no time in this one and has driven away. Christina Nielsen still right there in third. Then Colin Thompson, that orange car, that is your points leader.
Lewis amazingly gapped the field by 1.2 seconds in qualifying, so he has found the setup for Road America, and it's showing here in the race early on. But don't count your chickens, because we've seen how the complexion can change later in the race.
Well, Lewis has just had that pace because the way this works, the first round of a doubleheader weekend, which we saw the highlights of, Lewis was on pole by 1.2 seconds. What determines your starting spot in the second race is your second fastest lap. His second fastest lap was 1.2 faster than anybody else's second fastest lap. He's just got it clocked.
He does, and Angel Benitez does not. He's pretty far back. You normally see him up front.
Well, he's got work to do, and there's lots of time to do it in, because we'll be right back to Road America. The Curb Racing Competition Motorsports Porsche of Mike Lewis leads here in this 12th round of the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge USA by Yokohama. There's your second place car, Sloan Uri, who has opened up a little bit of a margin now over Christina Nielsen in her number 25 NGT Motorsports entry. And there he is. And of course, he was the winner in the 11th round, the previous round that was run here yesterday. So he certainly knows how to get a win here, but the problem is an answer from Michael Lewis's speed. And I wanted to say something here. The team that preps Michael Lewis's car, Competition Motorsports, is run and owned by Bob Fayetta, who's a 3-time platinum champion in the early days of this category. The man knows these cars, the team knows these cars, and they don't dabble in other forms of racing. They concentrate solely on the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge USA, so they really have their heads around these cars.
They're specialists.
Yeah.
And you know what? There aren't very many adjustments available because they want it to be a driver-oriented series, but the adjustments that are available become that much more important, so the experience pays off.
Yeah, huge here as we're looking a little bit farther back. There's Mike Shine, Casey Coleman, the two teammates with Wright Motorsports. But in front of them, watch, there's Jesse Lazar, the white machine. There's Colin Thompson, the point leader. There's Benitez, Angel Benitez, who's second in the points. But they are racing a lot farther back, Randy, than we generally see them. That right now, they're racing 5th and 6th. Benitez trying to take 5th away from Thompson.
Making a move down the inside. Whoa, they get close.
Oh,
Benitez way on the curb.
But was able to hang on to it.
He's protecting. Oh, I thought for a moment Colin might try to dive back inside. But it's surprising me to see these two guys this far back.
Yeah, it's just very unusual for them, obviously. They just didn't quite get the qualify. I mean, Thompson qualified 3rd, but has slipped back a little bit here. But for Benitez, he qualified 9th, and in fact has now fought his way up into that top 5. So it's a pretty good start for him. But look at Thompson trying the outside 5. That generally doesn't work unless you got all the way along the outside. He's there. Ooh, and Benitez just shoving him off the track.
Squeezing him in the grass.
Yeah, that's bad form. Sorry. He earned that piece of track, and he's entitled to it.
Yeah, he was there.
Yep, so.
He was there. If they keep battling like this, the gap is only going to grow to the leaders. They really need to work together.
Yep, but I mean, now that Benitez came through, and Benitez, we talked about, from 9th now up into 5th, while Thompson's got it from 3rd to 6th. Clearly, Benitez right now has the quicker car. Smart thing for Thompson is just try and run with him, I would think.
That would be wise.
Let them try and close up.
That would be wise. And we're looking at Jesse Lazar. He's running good here at Road America, trying to catch up to the 3rd place car of Christina Nielsen.
Well, Jesse, too, qualified back in 6th, so he's made up a couple of strong spots here in the early going and showing some good speed.
With the long straightaways, the draft is normally very important here at Road America, but we're getting kind of spread out here at the top of the field. I'm surprised to not see little 2-car trains.
Boy, and I mean, part of the reason is just the outright pace of Mike Lewis, because nobody can stay with him, draft or not. He's just driving away from everybody.
I wonder what his secret is, but I bet you it's a secret.
Exactly, yeah. Mr. Fayetta et al. Are not going to be too willing to share that one, because certainly it's impressive. Now, he didn't get the win in the 11th round, but he ended up, as you said, starting on pole. I think, sometimes that happens. You don't win when you have that kind of speed. The next day, you just clock the field because there's just something else that's lit.
Well, at Road America, you need the speed on the straightaways, but you need a car that works in the carousel and the kink. High-speed corners, and I think Mike Lewis has got a good car through the carousel and the kink. That's what separates the quick from the not-so-quick, the women from the girls, the men from the boys.
Exactly, and you need big heaping loads of bravado to get through those two corners. And that's the thing, isn't it, with the setup at Road America? And as you said, it's not like these cars have a ton of aero that you can adjust, but you normally start trimming them out and then feed in a little bit of downforce just till you hit that right compromise. Yeah,
that's the challenge, because you don't want a lot of wing. You don't want a lot of downforce on the straightaways. It slows you down, but you do want a lot of wing and downforce in the carousel and in the kink. So you've got to balance those two. What helps you in one place hurts you in the other.
Exactly, and so it's the compromise. So sometimes you've just got to carry the car in the faster, high-speed corners because you want that car a little bit more trimmed out, and it certainly produces some interesting racing, and it produces racing over the course of a 45-minute race like this one is. That will change, because you got a car that's working well at one point, it starts to go away a little bit if you're chewing things up. So this one, even though right now it's gapped, that doesn't mean it's going to stay that way.
No, it doesn't. We've seen it time and time again in this series that late in the race, the complexion changes and some cars rise up and others fall back. Boy, though, that Mike Lewis is going.
Yeah, he's got a lot of room to fall if he needs to fall a little bit, doesn't he, at this stage? I mean, he is just driving away from some very talented drivers.
Yes.
Sloan Ury, Christina Nielsen, and Jesse Lazar. We got a lot more coming from Road America. Stay with us. David Ducote continues to lead in the gold category here at Road America in this 12th round of the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge USA by Yokohama. And he has made that switch, Randy, we've talked about it, that there are different characteristics between how the new 991 Platinum car and the older 997 derived Gold Cup cars run, and some people just like the feel of one car over the other one.
Right, the 991 version in the Platinum is all new, so you've got to figure it out. Whereas the 997's been around for 4 years and more development. It's typically a more stable car, an easier car to drive fast.
It's not as fast if you drive it well, but it's an easier car to get the speed out of if that's what you're looking for. Speaking of speed, Jesse Lazar now has turned up the wick just a little bit and has closed in on the back of Christina Nielsen's NGT Motorsport machine, the number 25. They're both chasing Sloan Ury, who, of course, everybody right now is chasing Mike Lewis. And Lazar showing the nose down into one. Don't know if he's quite close enough, but he's certainly trying to get in Christina's mirrors, rattle her a little bit. And by the way, you know, that lap record that Michael Lewis set in qualifying for the 11th round of the championship, he has now set a race lap record with a wicked quick lap in this race, which is evidenced by the way he's drawing away from this field.
I'd love to know what they're doing.
Yeah, boy, they've got something figured out.
Whatever it is, it's working, and Mike Lewis is doing a great job. He's running a lot better here than he was at our last round at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. And are we gonna have a shot
look
at
at this?
Gonna have a pass?
Boy,
Dodge
she
bomb.
didn't leave him much room, did she? And he said, that'll do. Now, can he hang on to it at the exit? He did a beautiful job of doing just that, leaving absolutely really no counter move for Christina, and Lazar up into podium contention.
Christina trying to keep the heat on by being in his mirror. As we look at our leaders, he's using all the road and a little dirt. He's not messing around. Mike Lewis up front. Here's that battle for third.
Well, that's another thing. When you look at the map, you know, just a flat track map of Road America, turn 7 doesn't look like it's much. It is.
It's fast. It's fast, and
it's
you're right on the edge.
Downhill, fall away, off camber. Everything you don't like in a corner, turn 7 gives you. Pretty much.
Road America has great variety. The kink here is so fast. See those cars coming out of there, top of 5th gear, shifting up to 6th at about 130, 135, and then riding down to Canada Corner for a major brake zone.
And I mean huge on the brakes. And think about that, folks. We were talking about, you know, what takes a pasting here at this track. Certainly, it is outright speed is a huge thing, but you've got turn 3 is a decently heavy braking zone. 5 is huge. 8's huge. Canada Corner's huge. It uses up brakes.
And it's the heat cycle. The brakes get super hot in the brake zone. Then you go down that long straightaway and they cool off a lot. Really tough on the metallurgy in the brake rotors. Look
there at Ducote, who just he is just comfortable in this car, and it shows.
Looking good.
He's really throwing down some laps, and you can see the margin he's built up. You just saw Jeff Mosing in that sort of gold-colored car coming right there, coming up over the rise at 13. I mean, that's the margin Ducote's built up, sort of like what Mike Lewis has done in Platinum.
Yeah, he got a little wiggle there coming out of 14, though, so he's on the edge.
Boy, Colin Thompson is struggling. That is Casey Coleman trying to get down underneath, and Thompson shutting the door. Coleman, the back end, stepping out, but he still might be in a position to do something down into 3.
Yep, he's taking a shot inside. Whoa, side by side over the curb.
Oh, boy, that's side by side for 2 corners. Awesome stuff. And Thompson ends up hanging on at this stage. But, yeah, that Kelly Moss machine, just not quite where he'd like it right now, I don't think.
Casey Coleman, a really strong Masters driver, isn't he?
He sure is.
He still wants that position. He's got the quicker car. He's just got to make it happen.
Look at this, down to the inside in 5. Oh, they touch!
Twin pirouettes. Just a light touch is all it takes. Too bad. Get him going, guys.
Boy, and again, remember, Thompson is your points leader. And Coleman leading in the Masters class points for the Platinum category. So
yeah, and you know what? Sometimes it's better when somebody's all over you to just let them through and keep thinking points, keep thinking championship.
But I think he was dropping back so quick from that third qualifying spot. I mean, that pass would have put him back into seventh, and I think he just was really concerned about the point swing here because Benitez been able to drive away. Here's another look at it, Randy. Turn 5.
Yeah, coming down the inside, Casey Coleman is 98% of the way there. And you know what? I think Thompson's trying to leave him room, and Casey couldn't quite tuck it around that inside. It's just close racing that didn't come out quite right.
Yep.
Really hurts Colin. Hopefully he can come back up through the field a little bit. Car may or may not be damaged also.
Yeah, we'll have to see exactly. Here we go. Here is now Jesse Lazar, who has taken that third spot away. But Christina Nielsen, once Jesse got in front, Christina has made sure he has not just checked out into the distance.
She's still there, isn't she? And you can see him using all of the runoff area, over that rough curb, back over it again. Road America curbing can really punish a car.
Absolutely. By the way, that car that's behind Christina right now is Angel Benitez, who sits second in the points. He is closing, and he's sitting in fifth, and I think he senses opportunity with the problems for Colin Thompson. You know, that team is on the radio saying, "Go, mate." We'll be right back to Road America. Lots to come. Since the drop of the green flag, Mike Lewis has led in this 12th round of the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge USA by Yokohama. However, that man right there, Sloan Uri, is starting to find speed. Earlier in the race, Lewis turned the fastest lap, a new lap record. But since then, Uri has been able to find a little bit of pace. He's not making up huge chunks, Randy, but he's making up some chunks.
Yeah, and back here in the gold category, David Ducote is still leading, a new guy in the category for this event, and just rocking the field.
Yeah, he's got him covered. He did in that round. You saw the highlights where he won, and he just is driving away. Mosing just cannot make up any ground on Ducote, who has just absolutely been placing this car beautifully, looking very good. And of course, that's another Kelly Moss car, one of the Porsche Bucks County machines. And this is Kelly Moss's home track. They're only a couple of hours away in Madison, Wisconsin is their shop. They love coming here. They got tons of hours and laps at this place.
Well, they sure got the setup for David Ducote. On the other hand, Colin Thompson is a Kelly Moss car, and something's not right.
Yep, and just missing it a little bit, as you said. And there's Casey Coleman now, who's trying to fight his way back up after that twin spin that he had when he was trying to make the move on Colin Thompson. Thompson got going a lot faster in terms of getting turned around, so Coleman's pretty well buried back in this pack right now.
Yeah, that was too bad. And for Colin, I think he was trying to leave some room, and it's going to hurt him in the points, our leader, our points leader.
Absolutely, especially when we talk about Benitez moving up, maybe having a shot at a top 5 or better. And these two guys who are right in that points battle as well. I mean, Lewis is third, Sloan Uri is in fourth. So this is opportunity for these guys to really start to bunch these points up as we're heading into the final few rounds of the season after this. This is big opportunity. The one thing I saw, with Thompson, that loop, and of course Coleman as well, you worry about the tires, obviously. Whenever you spin like that, do you flat spot tires? I saw a little bit of smoke going in. Maybe Coleman flat spotted one.
Yeah, there is no ABS on these Porsches because they want it to be a driver intensive series. No anti-lock electronic braking feature. It's all manual. You're doing it, and you're adjusting the bias manually as well, which is how I think it really ought to be in racing.
Yep, I mean, that's part of what makes a good driver, isn't it? Here's a look at another moment here, and this is Casey Coleman coming down the inside. I think that's Jay Patel.
He was awfully ambitious with that one. Just touched Jay in the back. Jay, a local guy, he's a Road America driver, has run very well at the SCCA runoffs in a 911.
Oh, but that is Coleman, and it looks like he may have damaged that machine. He's pulling off there. That was down at turn 8. That was not turn 5. That was turn 8.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, when Coleman spins, at least they make it look pretty. Those were two absolutely beautiful pirouettes at two different corners that they did here, but he may have damaged that right front corner.
Yeah, a driver who has finished very well overall in previous events.
Yeah, look at that. You can see the steam and the smoke. The radiators on these cars are in each of the front end and the corners. And when he got into the back of Patel, I wonder, did he maybe just tink that at the wrong place?
Yeah, too bad. And maybe he was a little heated up from that earlier moment too, trying to get his way back through the field.
Well, you can see Uri is definitely making some inroads here. And of course, we talk about, not flat spotting tires, also managing tires just a little bit. When you're leaning on them this hard in the brakes and in these long corners, there is that issue. And these ENVR2s from Yokohama, phenomenal tire. They actually take orange oil that they get from the peels of oranges, blend it into the compound mix so they can use more naturally occurring rubber, which has two characteristics. One, it's much more durable than synthetic rubber. It doesn't have the grip, but it's more durable, and it's also much easier to recycle and return back to the environment. So it's an environmentally friendly tire that also gives these drivers a lot of durability, but yet allows them to really race and push these tires hard. As a whole, these drivers have said nothing but they love these tires.
And this turn, the carousel, is really hard on the tires because you're leaning on those outside rubber all the way around, and then in the kink, super fast. I love watching these Porsches drift through that kink.
Well, it's interesting, that carousel is actually much more than 180 degrees. It just is a long time to get there, so you're really on those tires. Then they're super heated. They're hot when you get to the kink, so you've got grip there, but if you start to damage the tire, that kink can get real treacherous.
And you know what? You hear talk of drivers cruising when they're up front. These guys are not cruising. Watch Sloan Uri. He's going to use all the road and then some. He's going for everything he can.
I think if we'd stayed with that shot, we'd have seen a little bit of dust pop up in the air. He's pushing so hard.
It was coming.
It was coming. And there's Ducote again, looking just absolutely planted everywhere around this track. You can see under the brakes that car's darting a little bit, so he's pushing it. But he is driving absolutely supremely right now.
It requires that kind of concentration and focus to win in this series. You can't let up. There's the Merkle car of David Williams from TPC Racing. He's a platinum car, so you can tell how good Ducote is running. He's ahead of several platinum cars.
And Ducote stretching his margin in gold, but Lewis starting to feel Uri pressuring up. We'll be back. Well into the final half of this 45-minute contest at Road America, and we are seeing a couple of interesting scenarios play out in our two different classes, the Platinum class and the Gold class, for this 12th round of the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge USA by Yokohama. David Ducote continuing to stretch his margin a little bit over Jeff Mosing. Nothing Jeff able to do with it right now. Every time we take a look at the shots, it takes longer for Jeff to appear into the shot. However, up at the front, we are seeing Sloan Uri closing it up just a little bit on Michael Lewis.
Ducote is stretching out his lead, and he's got David Williams in tow there.
Looking back, that's the number 24. That's the NGT circuit racing entry of Mark Yano. And Yano under some pressure here. That is a side-by-side battle with the 0-2 there. That's Fred Pourdad. And Fred Pourdad, one of the key players in the Gold Masters category. They do track a separate points championship for the Masters classes in each of the Platinum and Gold divisions. And Fred Pourdad really is the guy who's been on top of that for a while. But Mark Yano has had a great couple of runs recently, getting his first couple of Masters class podiums in the most recent couple of rounds, finding his form.
Did you see the camouflage?
Yeah.
Mark Yano is a Marine, and he's a big supporter of charities that take care of soldiers that and their families that are injured in action.
Yeah, he cares for them deeply. There's no question about that. And at every race, he's got a big compound set up that if you're a service member, past or present, you are welcome to come and spend some time and enjoy the hospitality of that great program. And I was talking about it. He's got 2 podiums in the last 3 races in that Masters category for the Gold class for Mark Yano. So really starting to find it a bit. Here's Sloan Uri, and 4th right now in those Platinum points, 2nd in this race. And again, with Colin Thompson way back at this stage, and Benitez back in the 5th spot. This is an opportunity for Mike Lewis right here and Sloan Uri both to make up some pretty significant points.
Move up in the points, yeah. Uh-oh, we got some trouble coming out of turn 3. Looks like Bill Pelichewski.
Yeah, that's, yep, there's that.
And the Flying Tiger.
Yeah, and that's one of those corners, you get it wrong, and you get to the throttle and you run a little bit wide, it often spits you off to the other side, the inside over there, doesn't it?
Yeah, it can. You get in that nice grass. Here we go. It was a passing action. No, the outside car got in hot, And Bill just went around, a little sympathy spin.
Yeah, I wonder if Bill was thinking he's going to come around right in front of me, and it's, you know, when you're hard on the gas and you suddenly lift right in the middle of a corner, that weight transfer does crazy things.
Was that David Baker there?
I think it was, the 68,
car?
yeah. That may have been Wayne Ducote, actually.
Yeah, interesting how he just kind of sucked him in with him. The lead car got in trouble, and Pelichowski just sort of got distracted, I'd say.
Absolutely. There's a look at the number 12 of David Calvert-Jones. And here, the 60 of Santiago Creel and Mike Shine. They are teammates, both run for Wright Motorsports. And Creel, of course, a young Mexican standout driver who's come up to try and run at this level, carries the colors of Mexico on the side of the car. And Mike Shine, a veteran of the series. He's run in it for a few years now out of New York City, New York. But this guy has just put his stamp on this race today, certainly.
I'm watching the car and trying to figure out where all that speed is coming from. We don't see a whole lot of wing angle, but nothing radical going on there. He's just hooked up.
Yeah, and I think, you know, obviously, you know, Bob Fayetta's Competition Motorsports team has a great setup on the car. But let's not forget, you know, Mike Lewis just destroyed the field at the 2 races at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca earlier in the year. When he's hooked up, when the car's right, the guy's got immense talent. He'd never been to Mazda Raceway before, just one going away, so he's got some chops.
And we've got Jay Patel in a platinum car under attack from Steve Goldman, another Competition Motorsports car, and he's going down the inside into turn 1. Over the curb.
Ooh. Oh, and he got
around.
Yeah, and you can see he looks like he just got to the side of Patel, and Patel's getting hit from all quarters today. What a rough run for Jay.
Jay's having a rough day, and well, so Steve. He went for it and wasn't quite able to pull it off. It's a little more tricky in one of these gold cars because they have that sequential manual shifter.
Yep.
And maybe it was the downshift that spun him. In the platinum cars with the paddle shift, they will not do a downshift if it's too early.
Oh, look at this.
That's
action. Benitez going by Christina Nielsen, but Benitez has had a little bit of a bump and goes somewhere, some damage to the back, that left rear of the back of his Avid Motorsports, Formula Motorsports machine. Now, that's more cosmetic than anything else, so he's okay. But boy, that should now put him up into, I think, 5th spot. So good day for him.
Looks like it might be one of the little fences on the diffuser underneath the car. My guess would be maybe dropping a wheel over one of the curbs. That could do it, but it hasn't slowed him down. He's picked up a position. Yeah,
this is huge again. You know, Colin Thompson well back right now in this leader jet entry of Benitez. Boy, does he just use every ounce of available pavement. Doesn't matter if it's racetrack or not. Down there in turn 1, yeah.
All of it, just drifting those Yokohamas. That's just a little piece of plastic. It's not a problem.
And there is the leader, Mike Lewis. So you can see from 1st to 5th is basically the entire length of that straight from turn 3 to turn 5.
Wow, Mike Lewis running strong.
Yeah, he is, no question. By the way, we were talking about Goldman, and he's a veteran of the series, but this is his first start in 2014. So running with a team he's got a lot of experience with, Competition Motorsports, but hasn't been doing a lot of running, at least in this series this year.
You know what? Sloan Urie's not out of this. As we see Santiago Creel again battling it out down the front straightaway.
Yeah, he really, I mean, he's trying to come up through that pack, and that's Fred Poordad, so he's starting to get into the sharp end of this gold category group. Santiago is, as he's fighting his way up through the pack. Marciano right up in front of him. So no matter where you look in this Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge USA by Yokohama, great racing. More to come at Road America. The clock is ticking down to our final 10 minutes here in this 12th round of the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge USA by Yokohama. There were your 2 overall and platinum leaders. Here comes Jesse Lazar, but the story might just be that next white car with that black trim. That is Angel Benitez. Second in the points coming in, an opportunity to close that up just a little bit, and he sits 4th right now. David Ducote, nobody is even close to him right now in this Gold Cup. It has been that kind of a weekend. He's first weekend in the Gold Cup cars after running platinum earlier in the season, and he won in the 11th round yesterday, and he's clocking them right now.
He has got the setup for the gold category cars. Very impressive from David Ducote. It ain't over yet. Got to bring that car home, but he's got a nice lead. He can afford to be a little bit careful and make sure that there are no mistakes.
I think for him, to quote Jim Carrey, stepping into this Gold Cup car, it was like a glove.
But you can see he's not slowing down because he's still ahead of David Williams.
Well, he's got a great rhythm
right
going
on the
right
pace.
now. And that's something, too. I mean, sometimes if you try and backpedal too much, that's when you can start to see a driver make mistakes.
Lose your focus. Yeah, you got to go quick enough to keep the attention focused. And just when I'm leading late in a race, I start thinking apex, apex, apex. In other words, hitting my exact markers all the way around the track.
Yeah, that's key, obviously, is now down into turn number 3. We've been watching this little group. It's a good battle. There is Mark Yano. And that's Fred Poordad behind him, as I talked about in those Masters Class Championship. Poordad leads it. This is in the gold category. Poordad over Jeff Mosing, then Mike Levitas, Oscar Arroyo, but Mark Yano, as I've said, this would be, I think he's got to find one more spot, and he might get his 3rd podium in the last 4 races if he can hang on today in that Masters class in the gold category. So good stuff for that circuit racing team at NGT Motorsports.
Good for him. And Sloan Uri is not out of this battle. He's got a shot. He's hanging it to the very edge. And if anything happens to that lead car, Sloan's going to be ready to take it. He's moving up in the points. If he can bring this home.
Oh, absolutely he is. I mean, as we said, he came into this one a 4th place in the points, and he was some 13 points out of that 3rd spot. Well, this is all going to jumble because the guy who's in 3rd, Mike Lewis, is leading right now in having this, and those 2 points leaders are behind these guys. So, boy, I tell you, this late in the season here, seeing this stuff start to pack up like this, seeing these other guys come to the front is going to make for a fascinating run to the end of this championship year.
These Porsches are making 460 horsepower out of their flat 6s mounted in the rear, and they run good. How many of these Porsches have we seen pull in the pits for a repair?
Yeah,
none.
Yeah, certainly mechanically. I mean, every once in a while you can certainly have race-induced stuff, but
sure, you
not,
can crash anything.
Yeah, very rare to see any kind of a mechanical failure on these cars, and that's why people love these, and that's why there's, counting this championship and the Canadian championship, there's 19 of these Carrera GT series, if you will, the Carrera Cups around the globe, because people want to drive these Porsches, because once you invest in the car, the running money compared to some other forms of racing is virtually nil.
Yeah, there's Jeff Mosing running 2nd, and then 3rd, Patrick Otto Madsen is having a good run. He's got something for Mosing. Could have a battle here for 2nd place in the gold category.
Yeah, that Ansa Momo machine, he's come alive here a little bit later in the race. I think he's got a setup on the car that's allowed him to find speed in the late going here, and he is doing just that, closing in on Mosing.
Draft time. I don't think he's close enough to make that draft work on one of these slippery Porsches.
Boy, what a great race track this is. Down into turn number 5 once again.
Yeah, see that straight line he took? It's shorter.
Yeah.
You got to turn a little tighter when you get to the turn in, but go straight over that hill. I like the short lines.
Yeah, well, and even if you're turning a little tighter, you're not bending as you're braking either, are you? So you can really get deep on those brakes if you need to down in there.
He probably runs here at Road America a lot, because the more you run here, the straighter you go over the hill on the way into turn 5.
You learn that lesson, do you?
Yes, you do.
Turn 8?
Mosing's so strong at the last 2 rounds down at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, but Ducote's just got him covered. But look at Madsen. Tell you, he's got something for Mosing.
Yeah, he does. He's closed up to within just a couple of lengths, and he's got just a little bit of time to get it done. Will he? We'll find out when we come back. Mike Lewis is heading into the final couple of laps here at Road America in the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge USA by Yokohama. This is the 12th round of this championship, and boy, he has just simply owned this one. He was fast in qualifying for the 11th round, put it on pole, but Sloan Uri, who's currently 2nd, got the win. But absolutely, apparently, not to be denied here, Mike Lewis today, he's just, he's opened that margin again up over Uri.
Yeah, Greg Kramer, where's Sloan Uri? I don't see him in the background, so the gap has opened up. We're looking back at the kink.
There he is.
Way back there. He probably was trying really hard and then maybe had a little issue somewhere, whereas Lewis is just, this is domination.
Yeah, it truly is. And, I mean, Sloan Uri, he's been doing this now for a couple of years. He's a young guy, but he's got some race savvy. And at a certain point, you're pushing, and you get to the that spot where you're going, if I continue to do this, I can easily throw away a second place here. And I've got to have a little bit bigger picture view. So you just check up a little bit and just bring it home, yes?
Yeah, I think championship.
Yep.
It's late in the season. We're in round 12 here. Not much further to go, and it's close.
And
Whoop,
one
white
lap.
flag.
Yep, last lap for Mike Lewis. That Curb Records Competition Motorsports Porsche in the Platinum category. Ooh, look at him. Boy, he's still working that wheel.
Oh, yeah, braking hard, using all of the runoff area, tracking it out.
Yep, keeping that focus, keeping that concentration at absolute max level. Now, coming out of this turn, this is turn 3. As we go back, here's David Ducote.
Ducote's still leading. David Williams has caught him up a little bit, but Mr. Williams is in a Platinum car. See the black mirrors there. You can tell how much bigger the Platinum cars are. They're wider and they're longer, and in general, the wider a car is, the faster it'll go around a corner.
It's just a little bit more aggressive stance, totally, isn't it? As,
Yes. Yeah, the 911 continues to evolve after 50 years. Same basic layout, an amazing car.
Yeah, well, the engineers at Porsche that do the design, they just continue to find performance out of this this design that, as you said, has a tremendous history to it. Oh, I don't know. I think Ducote might be he might be in a position where you might just want to let him go. He's got a huge lead.
Tell you what, I would. Another good view of how much wider the old car is.
Yeah.
No, he didn't make it easy. Now, this is similar to what Colin Thompson and Casey Coolman were going through earlier in the race, isn't it?
Yep, exactly.
Ducote has everything to lose and very little to gain. And he finally said,
All right.
okay, go ahead, David. You're a Platinum car. I'm just going to follow you.
Yeah.
That's a wise move.
It is, and when you look at those shots from the back of the car, you see that little wing, that not the big wing on the back of the car, but the little sort of spoiler on the back of these Platinum cars, very different in the shape that it has to the ones that run in the Gold Cup. And that's just part of those little aero modifications, and enhancements, if you will, that they continue to do. But here we go. Mike Lewis, boy, did he get around on this last lap in great form with great pace, out of 14, on the hammer up the hill, just flicking that right paddle shift as he climbs the hill.
Looking
and is
good.
Gonna, oh, isn't he? Under the checkered flag, he flies to the wall to say thanks to the crew. Mike Lewis gets it done, and by my count, that is his 3rd win on the season, and boy, did he do it in style.
He's wagging his wings, wagging his wings. Sloan Uri couldn't get up there to 1st, but he's got a 2nd, which is really great for his points situation. A comeback from the disasters at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park.
Absolutely, a great run for him. Here is David Ducote. We've talked about it. Just nobody in the ball. Oh, that was
that Madsen?
That was Patrick Otto Madsen.
The Chrome car.
Yeah, who
Something
was third in those Gold Cup, the position, points leader in Gold Cup, but 3rd in the race, and that has suddenly gone absolutely pear-shaped for him. Something wrong there as Ducote feeding it through Canada corner.
Oh, we got a little celebration on the victory lap.
Yeah, and it's a warm day. It's a warm day at Road America, so obviously Lewis getting that door open, trying to get a little circulation in there. And here we go, David Ducote through turn 14, and up the hill he will go. And this one using that synchro.
It's back to the middle of the track there. Interesting line.
Trying to give himself every piece of racetrack to enjoy as he flashes over to complete a sweep of the weekend in the gold class. Absolutely a fantastic day.
Really
David
well
Ducote,
done.
yeah, and that Kelly Moss Racing. Here comes 2nd.
There's Mosing, a good run.
Another good run.
Solid
and,
2nd.
Adding him up in points. Remember, Ducote just making the switch and watching to see who might be coming through here. There's Madsen just limping it through, but he's down a lap now at this stage. So who is going to be 3rd? And look at this. Oh, what a run. Marciano just getting by Poor Dad and bringing it not just a Masters class podium, Randy, but an outright gold podium for Marciano. That could be a career best finish for him right there.
Good for the Marines on that one.
Absolutely. Celebrations will be commencing, and we'll have them for you when we come back. The celebrations are commencing. The winners are in Victory Circle for this 12th round of the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge by Yokohama. And guess what? Mike Lewis, he earned it. Here's his moment in Victory Circle.
It's pretty, historic circuit, and to add my name to that list of great drivers who raced here is pretty incredible. And the way we did it, just literally checked out, and it ran every lap like a qualifying lap to open up, a margin so I can just do my own pace. This Curb Records car, Competition Motorsports number 98, was literally on rails. So I can't say enough about my team, and again, this historic facility to win here. I've been here in the past, but always never won. So this first one is awesome, and to do it in style like that is pretty big.
Well, and I'll tell you, I think that was the key as we take a look at the results, Randy. Qualifying laps the whole race, and that showed.
He did a terrific job in that car, hooked up over Sloan Urie and Jesse Lazar, getting a good third.
Absolutely. You saw Colin Thompson in 8th. That has huge implications in terms of points. There's Ducote, Mosing, and Marciano getting that podium in the gold class, not just the Masters class. Awesome day for him. And you take a look a little bit further back in the pack. Poor Jay Patel felt like a bit of a punching bag today.
Mike Levitas,
another
some
struggle.
issue in the back that hurts him.
It did, but I'll tell you, there's a guy named David Ducote who has had a superb weekend with a sweep.
I had a little confidence loss coming in here because I had some trouble with the 991. I hadn't been in this car in a long time. Got in, been quick all weekend. Kelly Moss gave me an awesome car, great setup, and I just did what I needed to do, stayed clean and kept my head down. It all worked out.
Confidence is a huge thing as we take a look now at the points in the Platinum class. Look at this. Colin Thompson now, that 8th place finish, only 2 clear of Benitez. Lewis with the win now, only 5 out of the lead. Urie with a win in his second, only 20 out of the lead. It is getting incredibly close in this championship as we have completed the 12 rounds. Now let's take a look at what's unfolding in gold. Patrick Otto-Madsen with that late race issue drops back and only now 14 clear of Mosing. Levitas continues to make a run. Fred Pordan and Kristen Trieger complete. And look at Marciano up now knocking on the door of a top 5 in gold points. So it has been a pretty amazing weekend here. Randy, some of the racing wasn't necessarily the closest we've seen in terms of cut and thrust battling, but we have seen some close quarters racing, moments like this out on the track. But the drives that Ducote and Mike Lewis put on, those were clinics. Those were special.
It's about the domination of when everything goes right. And then we see some examples here of when everything goes not so right.
Absolutely, but the celebrations for that man, Mike Lewis, boy, did he earn this one. Next round of the championship at a new legend in the motorsports venues, a little place called Circuit of the Americas, home of the USGP. We'll see you then, folks. Take care.